But I'm just glad they let old people worship with them, because I kind of like them. They're cool. This generation's cool. If you'll hang with me, I'm going to do something a little bit different. If you'll hang with me, we'll do a little bit different. I'm just going to have Sofia come and bring the word. And don't worry about the time. I promise I'll get you. You'll get to the ponderosa before anyone else does. But I really feel like the word that she's carrying is a word, it's a now word. And so I'll figure out how we're going to do tithes and offerings and announcements at the end. But so if you'll come. She said, I thought I got out of this. No, ma'am. I want you to understand two things. Your responsibility is to pull. Her responsibility is not to have a spoon and feed you. Your responsibility is to pull. So if you're willing this morning to pull from the word that God's placed in our heart, would you please raise your hand? Tell me you acknowledge that you're willing to pull.
I really did think I got out of doing this. Not that I didn't want to do it, but I just thought I didn't have to anymore. I just wanted to, before I go anywhere, I just wanted to start out by honoring people that every single day deserve to be honored, but that in this house they deserve the most, well, not the most, God deserves the most honor, but in this house they deserve honor. Pastor Sarah and Jeremiah have built the culture that is needed for people to grow. If there's one thing that I've learned is that people grow in every area of their life when they feel loved, when they feel secure, when they feel safe. And Pastor Sarah and Jeremiah have created a house that you can come in and find Jesus on your own. You can find Jesus as you please, but know that you can turn around and there are people standing beside you, behind you, in front of you, with you, no matter what finding Jesus on your own looks like. I would not be, they say it takes a village to raise a kid, and I would like to say that I am the perfect example of it taking a village. Because if it wasn't for Pastor Sarah and Jeremiah, if it wasn't for Pastors Jose and Sherilyn, if it wasn't for Pastor Juliana, if it wasn't for these people in my life that saw things in me way before I saw them, I would not be where I am. They saw in me. I vividly remember looking at Pastor Sarah one day and being like, I'm not going into ministry. And she looked at me and she was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And if it wasn't for them who saw things in me that I didn't even see and pulled them up as I was growing and learning, they pulled them up and out of me. If it wasn't for, when the youth group started, I sat in front of Pastors Jose and Sherilyn when they asked me if I would be a leader, crying. Looking back now, I thought I was scared to do it, but I was just, my spirit knew what I was about to step into and was ready for it. And if it wasn't for them challenging me and encouraging me and telling me that I could do it, there would be no way that I could have grown the way I did. And then my parents, when I told them that I wanted to go to ministry, every bolt that held the train together fell off. They were like, you want to do what? I was like, I'm just kidding, it's a joke. No, I'm not kidding. But I remember the late nights that my mom would lay me down to go to bed, and she would pray with me. And I remember the older I got, I vividly remember looking at her, asking her, will you pray in tongues? And I would fall asleep as she would speak in tongues. And I didn't know that it was my spirit that was needing it at that young of an age, and that I would need her doing that today. That if she didn't do that when I laid in bed at night, that I might not know Jesus like I do today. And then before I go any farther into the message, I really felt in my heart and in my spirit to speak to the adults in here. I'm an adult, but I'm not really an adult. I don't consider myself an adult. I don't think anybody else in my life considers me an adult. It's fine. But to speak to the adults in here, there are the younger generation, my generation and younger, that need you. You have wisdom and you have things that we don't have. It doesn't take a pastor to pour into somebody. It just takes somebody that's willing to say, there's a young person in here and I think I have wisdom that they need. You don't have to plan out a devotional. You don't have to have a message put together. It's taking us out to lunch and saying, how's school? And when we tell you something that's going on, go, I went through something similar to that, and this is how I did it. This is how I got through it. You guys have wisdom that we need, and you are equipped to do it, whether you think you are or not. Okay. So now that I've said my piece, I'm going to go ahead and pray, and then I'm going to use Psalms 23:5 for my message today. So Heavenly Father, I thank you for your wonderful presence that we're able to walk into and that we're able to enter into so freely. I thank you that we're able to enter into it without any prerequisites and that we don't have to know what we need before we enter into it because you already know what we need. I thank you for the word that you have placed on my heart. I know it's timely, I know it's for this season, and I just pray that hearts that are about to listen to it are soft and ready to receive from it. I just thank you for this, your wonderful presence, and I thank you that it goes with this news message. In your name we pray, amen. All right, so I really felt like I got this message, like this word from God a long time ago. It was like back in October. And it's just kind of been stirring my spirit since then. I was laying in my bed at school. I just left. Okay, if you don't know, I go to Southeastern University. And my beautiful best friend is here, and I did not know she was coming. But I was laying in bed one night, it was probably in October, and I was dealing with my thoughts, fears and anxiety that I thought I had worked through, and I thought when I left I was good, but apparently I wasn't, because it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I worked myself up so much, and I allowed the lies of the enemy to build up so much that I worked myself almost into like a panic, anxiety attack, and I don't claim that over my life, and if I can encourage you not to claim that over, I would encourage you to not claim that over your life too. You don't have anxiety, it's something you deal with. Anyways, I worked myself up, and I felt like I was going on and on and on and on, and I was like, God, this is happening, and this is happening, I was going on, and I just really felt like all of a sudden he was like, Sof, shut up, give me a second, listen to me. Because I also believe that God's very, very familiar with us, and I know he talks to me like that. I know he tells me to shut up. If you don't like that, he probably doesn't say that to you. But I feel like he's super familiar with us, and that he was just like, Sof, shut up, listen to me. And I was like, and it's like when he called my name, I was able to turn around and finally see him standing there. He had a table prepared for me, and once I finally turned around, it's almost like he was like, thank goodness, like finally you're looking at me, I've been calling your name. And he's just standing there and he's like, can you please imagine let's use our imagination. There's chairs, the table's set. Can we use our imagination? So he was like, thank goodness, sit down, please, let me talk with you for a second. Let's work through this, let's talk through this together. So I want everybody, you don't have to close your eyes, but in your head, picture what your battlefield looks like. That place that you go to when you lose him, when you lose sight of him, when you lose his presence, and you go to this place where you feel like you're scattered, that you've got so much on your plate, you're in the middle of your battlefield, take yourself there. And then that's where he is. He's right in the middle of it. All of my thoughts are all the way around here, and I'm over here, and I'm like, God, I need this, you need to do this, we need to fix this. But he's right over here, and he's like, hey, over here, listen to me. And once we finally turn around, he's standing, he's like, come over here, and it's in the middle of it. It's not off someplace that we have to go and walk to. It's actually in the middle of everything that we're feeling, and everything that we're dealing with. He knows us better than we could ever know ourselves. He knows us more than any personality test could ever teach us. He knows us better than any therapist could ever tell us. He knows us way better than any of that. And then he knows our thoughts before we do. He knows our actions before we do. He knows our desires before we do. So before I got into this frenzy of believing the lies that the enemy told me, he already knew it was going to happen. He was already ready. Nothing takes him off guard. It's not 2 o'clock in the morning, and I start going through this. He's like, oh gosh, I have to hurry up and do this. He's sitting there and he's ready. He's prepared for whatever's going to happen. He pulls us from the mess that we're in, from the dust that we're in, from the brokenness that we're in. He He just kind of picks us up and he puts us back together and he just puts us at the table. If he's gonna put us anywhere, he's gonna put us at a table with him where then he can just have sole concentration on us and we have sole concentration on him. When we thought that we lost ourselves, he knew exactly where we were. The song that says, when I thought I lost me, you knew you knew where to find me. He knows exactly where we were, and it's usually always where we lost him. So the place over here where we're broken and we can't, we're stuck in this anxiety attack or whatever your battlefield may be. It may be at work, it may be with your kids, maybe with your husband, it may be with your wife, it may be anything. When you're here and you feel broken, this is where you lost him. I was talking with Pastor Jeremiah and Sarah, and Pastor Sarah said, where you lost your peace, it's not the absence of peace, it's the absence of God. Or it's not the absence of trouble, it's the absence of God. This, where you feel like you're broken, is where you lost him. So then when we come back over here and we're like, God, I can't come to your table because I'm broken and I don't know where pieces of me are. He says, no, I got it, it's right over there. And when we go over to walk to it, he's like, no, stay here, I got it. So then he comes back over here, he picks up the pieces that we fell apart, that we lost, and then he comes back to us and he puts us back together. But he doesn't just put us back together because then you can see scars and the brokenness and the tape and the glue is. He actually takes those pieces and he puts it with whatever we are to make it completely new. So now we don't have any scars or anything, we're completely made new. So I want to talk about what it looks like when he finally gets our attention, what it looks like when we finally realize that there's a table set for us. So we're over here and we are like, God this, God that, blah, 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 and he finally gets our attention and we finally are able to turn around. What do we do once we turn around? Is it just kind of a, oh, cool, do we just nonchalantly walk over there? Psalm 16:1 says, the Passion Translation says, keep me safe, O God. I run for dear life to you, my safe place. So we're standing here, we're God, blah, 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 and we see it, and it's like everything inside of us can't help but to come over. We run for dear life. Everything inside of us, human and then supernatural, our human man and our supernatural man, everything inside of us can't help but to run for dear life to the one that we know. There's a psychology fact that when you focus on one part of your body, you can't focus on another part of your body. So if you think about your toes, you don't know what's going on in your ears. If you think of your left thumb, you don't know what's going on with your left knee. That's my right thumb. Your left knee. So we are so focused on everything that's wrong, like God this, God that, this is what's wrong in my life. We have no idea what our spirit needs. We're so focused on one thing that what the other thing is, we have no idea what it's asking for. It's your spirit is saying, listen to me, I just go to God. I need I need a touch from the heavenlies. I need a touch from things eternal and things everlasting. But we have no idea because we're so focused on our battlefield. But the second we listen and we turn to him, we are in tune with everything that in here needs. So when we're over here and we finally turn around, we stop worrying about all of this and we start worrying about that, and everything inside of us starts needing to go to the eternal, to go to the everlasting. So I'm going to go ahead and read Psalms 23:5. It's the passage that I'm going to focus on. And it says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. So, our bodies, so now we're at the table. We got to the table. We did it, guys. We got to the table. We turned around, he has our attention, and everything inside of us runs for dear life to him. So what does he do? He meets us here. It's already here, it's already set, and he's here waiting on us. It's not like we have to get here first, and then we're like, you know when you get to dinner before somebody else gets there, and you have to wait, and you're just like, he's already there. He's already there waiting for when we come. It's like when the prodigal son comes home, his dad's already waiting on him. But not as his dad just waiting on him, he sees him and then starts running to him. Because he's so excited when he comes home. He sees his son, he's like, oh, my son finally sees me. He's finally coming home. And he gets so excited, he just has to go and meet him there. So if we're over there and God's here, he sees us coming and he has to go meet us, and then we walk back together to the table. In Isaiah, he reminds us that his thoughts are higher than ours, his ways are higher than ours, just as the heavens are higher than we are. He doesn't always let us in on what he knows, but he gives us little bits and pieces of it. And this is a little bit and piece of it. The table is here in the middle of everything that we're going on, and he meets us here in the middle of it all. And that's a little piece of what heaven's like. It's a little piece of what he does for us, because not only did he just die on the cross for us, but he wants us. He wants to meet with us. So he set a table in the middle of our battle because he wants us to pay attention to him, and he wants us to turn around and go be with him. So what happens when we're at the table in the middle of our battlefield? What happens? Are we just there like chill? No. We don't actually do the fighting. There is two types of people in the world. There's a lot of different personality types and temperaments, but there's two different types of people in the world. There are people who want to immediately attack. You hear something and you're like, attack, got it, we'll go, we don't need a plan. But then there's people who need a plan. People are like, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about it, let's think about what we need to do, where we need to go from. But what those two people have in common, no matter the age, the gender, anything, is that they want to do something. Whether you want to attack right away or make a plan, you want to do something. The Bible doesn't say, sit down and create a plan of attack with me. It says, sit down and be still. He does all of the fighting. He does all of everything. We are literally just called to sit down and be still. There is nothing more that he wants us to do. If there was, he wouldn't be God. He wouldn't have already won the battle. He wouldn't have already had the victory. We would have to fight with him. But he already has the victory. So now we're at the table and he says, sit down, and we sit. I was trying to share because I would sit. So then he goes out and he fights our battle for us, and then he just comes back and sits down. He doesn't tell us about it. He doesn't give us details. He doesn't boast. He does nothing. He just sits down and he's like, it's done. You won. That's it. Like, that's all there is to it. There's literally nothing else that we are called to do. We are called to go into his presence, sit with him, dine with him, let him romance us a little bit, and then he comes back and he's like, bam, done. Like, it's finished. And when we're at the table, I like this. We don't even realize that our battle is being fought. We're not sitting there knowing that he's out there fighting a battle. We're just sitting there being with him. We're just sitting there talking with him. And in my Christian thought class at school, we were learning about the Psalms. And the Psalms is the only book in the Bible that it is humans talking to God, not God talking to humans. So when you hear those Psalms where it's like, rain fire on my enemies, that's not Jesus, that's somebody who is very upset. But the reason why they feel okay saying this to God is because they're so comfortable with him. They're sitting here at the table in the middle of their battle, and they're like, God, like, they're doing me so dirty, rain fire upon my enemies, like, knock them all out. But they feel so comfortable with him, and they trust him so much that they can say whatever they want to say. We are allowed to have all of the emotions that he has given us with him. We are allowed to feel everything. If you feel angry, be angry. Take it to him and be like, God, what is going on? Like, what is this in my life? You called me to higher than this. And he says, then come higher. Let me take care of it. Let me fight your battle, and I will take you higher. We have no idea that our battle's even being fought. We're just ranting. We're just talking to Papa. We're just talking to Dad. And then next thing you know, you turn around and it's done. You don't even realize that it's done. You don't even realize that what you feel in here and what you think up here, you don't think it anymore. He says, and you look at him, you're like, what just happened? He's like, baby, it's done. There's no more. It's over. The table is always set. I wish I had like a flower or like a table setting. Something, but I don't, so let's use our imagination again. Imagine your favorite flowers or your ideal table setting, and that's exactly what the table looks like. And he always has it set. You don't turn around and catch him setting it. You know, like when you accidentally go over to somebody's house too early and they're still finishing? That's not what happens. It's always set. And he's just standing here and he's like waiting on you to come. It's always set with your favorites, and it's always ready for you. There's a song by Dante Bowe, and at one point he says, "I couldn't have dreamed of a better God." We were created by the Creator, and He gave us the gift of creativity. But we don't have enough creativity to dream of a better God. The Creator who made the heavens and the earth put that same creativity inside of us, but we could not dream of a better God. There is nothing that we could think of or nothing that we could desire that would be better than what He already has. Everything that's here, everything that you want, everything that you think you want here, when you turn around and come over here, it is so much better than we could ever imagine. It is so much better than we could ever imagine. Psalm 139, 1 through 3 says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways." He knows you way better than anyone else can know you, way better than you can know yourself. So even if you think you desire one thing, you think over here, like if I got to choose my perfect table setting here, where I am here, in the middle of my battlefield, I would have like peonies and like a white tablecloth. But he comes over here and it looks completely different because he knows that this is what you need, not what you want. But then once you figure out that what you need is not what you want, this becomes what you desire. This becomes what you desire, not what you had before. Because you realize that what you had over here is not nearly as good as it would be if you came over here. When you choose to sit with Him, you are choosing to not sit with something else. So when I choose to come over here and sit with the Creator, with the Father, with Abba, with Papa, I am choosing to not sit at a table over here with my anxiety, with my fear, with my depression, whatever it is. You have a choice. He gives us free will. He gives us free will to choose where we want to sit. But once you figure out what's there, you don't want what's here. I think that culture has a tendency to think that, not think, but they feel that if they hold on to whatever they have, then they have something. You know, you're willing to lay some of it down on the altar during worship, but you're not really willing to lay it all down, because then what am I going to talk about? How am I going to relate to people? How am I going to, it's something that becomes a part of you. It attaches to you like a leech. So we kind of want to sit here. Like, it's not that bad. The chair's not that uncomfy. It's like the view's not terrible. The battle's not that bad. Like, I'm not necessarily getting hit. But when He calls our name and we finally turn around and see Him, and everything inside of us starts to run to where He is, you don't want that. I will tell you right now that you don't want that. Whatever is at this table, no matter how comfy it may feel, you don't want it. Because you can't grow if you're sitting at this table. You can't grow sitting here. You can't find more of Jesus sitting here. If you feel like things in your life aren't necessarily lining up, like I'm doing this, but this isn't happening, I'm doing this, but this isn't happening, look at where you're sitting. Are you sitting with a table that has chains on you and you literally can't move? Or are you at the table where He lets you get up, He lets you walk around, you can go wherever you want to go, and He lets you go. You can eat however much you want to eat, and the food's good. You're over here, the food's okay. So then what happens? Oh, let me read this. Psalms 26:4 says, "I do not sit with the deceitful, nor do I associate with the hypocrites." Psalms 110:1 says, "The Lord says, sit at the right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet." Your enemies can't become a footstool for your feet if you're not sitting at the right hand. Your enemies cannot go under your feet so you can stomp on them if you're sitting with them. You have to get up out of your seat and walk across to where He wants you to sit, and that is when the enemy goes underneath your foot. Now, I feel like my generation has a thing with authority. They don't want to listen. And it also may be because I'm still just coming out of the age where people don't want to listen. I don't know. I'll find out. But when they're told to do something, they want to do the opposite of what they're told. So if Mom tells you to do something, now I don't want to do it. Now I don't want to do. He's not going to make you do something that you don't want to do. He knows that you want to do it. And he knows that when you do it, you're going to be pretty happy with the decision that you've made. So what happens when we make the decision? What happens now? We're sitting at the table, we finally turn around, we realize that this is better than that, and now we want this. But what happens once we're here? What happens once we're here? There's the song that says, we just sang it today, I can't help but fall in love with you. It's like a relationship. When you go out to eat with somebody, typically when you go on your first date, I've never been, but when you go on your first date, you go out to eat with somebody, right? And you sit across from the table from them and talk. I'm just assuming this is how it goes. I see it in the movies all the time. You sit across the table from them and you eat. You break bread with them. You commune with them. But what happens eventually, if it's meant to be? You fall in love with them. You just sit there and you talk and you have a good time and you get to know each other and you just have a good time. And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, you're like, I'm in love with you. I want to be with you. And that's what happens when we sit at the table. We sit there and we're finally like, God, listen to what is going on. And we just talk. And then he talks back to us. And then we talk some more, then he talks some more. And all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, I am so in love with you. What can I do but fall in love with you? I can't help but fall in love with you. And it's just because of who he is. We don't fall in love with him because he called us. We don't fall in love with him because he fought our battle and won. We fall in love with him just because that's who he is. It's his nature. It's in our nature to fall in love with him, and it's in his nature to then in turn be like, I'm in love with you too. You don't even realize I'm so in love with you. He created us. Like your quirks, like whatever it is, like your blonde moments, I've got a lot of them. I've got a nickname for it. Your blonde moments, he created you. He created your innermost being, and he's actually in love with it. He's not cool with it. He's not like, ooh, it's good. And the Bible says he created it and it was good. It's not just, I feel like our definition of good and his definition of good is way different. It's way different. If something's okay, I'll be like, yeah, that's good. If school's going good. But when he says good, we're good. He looked at the earth that he made. He made earth. And he said, that's good. That's really good. And then he made us, and he was like, that's really good. The creator of the heavens and the stars and the sea and everything that walks on it created us too, and was like, that's really good. I think we need one of those. When we're at the table, when we go to the table, it starts out with everything that we need, everything that he needs to do for us, and then it turns into us falling in love with him. But because worship is just a reflection of who he is on us, when we're at the table, it turns around back on him. And we don't even realize it. We sit here and he fights our battles and we say, you're good, you're worthy. You reign on high. And he looks at us and he goes, but my child, you're good. You're worthy. Worship is just a reflection of everything that he is. Because he put the breath in our lungs. He said to us, he breathed on us, it is good. So then we can turn around and look at him and say, but you are good. And he says, but my child, I called you good first. So we sit here and everything we think that's going on, it turns around completely back on him. The attention goes from us back to him. We say, we need this, and then next thing we know, before you even know, you're going, you're so good. You are so good. You deserve all of the praise. You deserve all of the honor and all of the glory. And the Bible, when they wanted emphasis, they would say something 3 times. The angels sit at his feet and they say, holy, 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 worthy, 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 over and over, but in sets of 3, because they're trying to give him all of the emphasis that they possibly could. Holy, holy, holy. So that when we're at the table, now we are coming into an understanding of what we're supposed to do. We think what we're supposed to do is this over here, whatever it is, whatever you think your calling is, whatever it is. But when you come here, you actually begin to realize what you're supposed to be doing. And what you're supposed to be doing is sitting at his feet going, holy, 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 holy. So we go from sitting in a chair to sitting on the ground. You are good. Are you okay? Okay. So, you go to dinner with somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody, and you're communing with them, you're in a relationship with them. You get up and leave at some point. You're sitting there, dinner was so good, you realize, like, I'm in love, like, whatever it is. You're sitting there, and then you get up to go and leave. And if we're not careful, we can get up from where we were sitting next to him and go back to where we were before. But we're not supposed to be there. That's literally, we are not called to be there. He calls us to sit at his right hand. So we get up to go, and he goes, wait, will you stay with me for a little bit? Will you stay just for a little while longer? Stay with me, be with me, love me. And we just come over and we sit back down and we stay. Because staying at the table isn't a bad thing. If you sit at the table at night, you're typically working or, you've got stuff to do, but it's at the table that we're called to be. Granted, we're in the middle of a battlefield. Isn't it crazy to think that you're in the middle of a battlefield, but you want to stay with where you're at? Typically, if you're in the middle of a battlefield, you want to get out of there. Take me somewhere else, somewhere where that's not here. But when he pulls the table in the middle, he also pulls it up. He takes it up into the heavenlies. He takes it up to his perspective. So that when we sit there, we can look down on whatever we were dealing with from heaven's perspective. We are no longer seeing it from our perspective. We are no longer looking at it horizontally, but we're looking at it down. And when you look at something down, it's a lot less intimidating. It's a lot less scary if you can look down on something. And then that's where we're called to be. So the table starts out in the middle of a battlefield, but then once we get there, he pulls us up. He pulls us out of it. So now we can look down and go, that's not too bad. Like, that's not so bad. You can, you got this. God, I trust you with whatever this is. And then we stay. But are we okay? Are you okay with sitting with the king if you're not on a throne? Right now, we could be like, yeah, I'm with the king. Of course, I'll sit anywhere. But when you're in the middle of your battle, you don't want to sit on the ground. If you're over here saying whatever, dealing with whatever, and you finally hear his voice, but you see him just sitting on the ground, how are you going to feel? You're going to be like, are you going to ask, why do I have to sit on the ground? But somebody else, when they got called, they got pulled up. But the Bible says he makes us lie down in green pastures. A pasture is on the ground. There's no throne in a pasture. There's cows, but there's no throne. So are you okay with turning around and seeing him just sitting on the ground waiting on you? Do you trust him enough to know that if you even sit with him on the ground, what he has prepared for you is better than where you were before? What if you go from sitting at a table? A table, maybe you're sitting with your anxiety, but you're still sitting at a table, and now you turn around and he's on the ground. Are you willing to get up out of whatever chair you're in to go sit with him? Do you trust him enough? Do you love him enough to say, I'll sit on the ground with you. I'll lay down in the grass with you. Because I guarantee you that if he's sitting on the ground, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for him pulling you down to the earth or down to wherever he's sitting. There's a reason for it. He knows you and he knows what you need and what you want way better than what you could ever know. So if he's sitting in the grass, if he's sitting on the ground, I would sit with him. Because he's still going to heal you. He still fought your battle, and you're still going to fall in love with him because he's too good to sit on the ground with and not fall in love with. He is too good and he is too worthy for us to go through our lives unwilling to sit on the ground because we think we need something else, because we want something else. He's too good and he has done too much for us to not sit with him and just be with him and worship him. He is too good. You can worship at his feet, saying, holy, 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 even if he's sitting on the ground. You're still able to do that. He does not have to sit in a chair. He does not have to sit above you for you to be under him singing, holy, holy, holy. He came to earth to be like us. Jesus came to earth to be like us. He's God, but when he was human, he's with us. He's going through the same thing. But he does not need to be pulled above you for you to sing holy, holy, holy. You can sit next to him wherever he chooses to sit and still worship him and still be healed and still be loved and fall in love. Everything that we need is found at the table. We have to become aware with what our insides, with what our innards are crying out for and are asking for. We have to be aware and know that we have to disconnect from everything over here to go over there. Because you can't pick up something over here and take it with you over here. You can take whatever's over here and bring it back over there, but it's not the other way around. It's one way. This is a one-way street. This can go over here, but that cannot go over here. Your anxiety does not have a place at the table. The table has place for what he makes room for. The table has place for people in your life that sit next to you in your battlefield. The table extends when he realizes that the people in your life need to be sitting with you. When he realizes, not when he realizes because he already knows, when he says, Sofia's sitting at the table, but I think she needs Madison sitting next to her too. I think this would be going a lot better if she had both of her Sarahs sitting at her table. The table extends for the things that he wants to make room for, not for the things that you want to make room for. So are you willing to take something from over here and try and bring it over here, and that means there's not room for him at the table? He prepared the table for you because he's in love with you and he created you to sit with him. I'm going to go ahead and close, but I want to end with, I'm going to call Pastor Jeremiah up here. But I want to leave you with a thought and leave you with a question that when I was going over my notes with them, we were talking about. In this generation, there's not a whole lot, in this society, there's not a whole lot of sitting down at the dinner table with your family to eat. People don't do that anymore, and if they do, they have their phones. Sarah said it was me, Pastors Sarah and Jeremiah and me, and she even said, like, if it was just them two, it wouldn't be unnatural for them to have their phones out. Because they live with each other, but since I was there, and since there was a purpose to the meeting and stuff, to the meal, that nobody was on their phones. But what if every time we came to a table, there was a purpose to us being at the table? Are you so consumed with whatever is going on your phone to not realize that you're literally sitting with a king? But not just king, you're sitting with Papa, you're sitting with Dad. If you haven't seen your dad in forever, do you think the prodigal son came home and then saw his dad and then went on his phone? He hasn't been home in so long, he's not going to sit there on his phone. He's going to sit there and he's going to commune with him, he's going to talk with him, he's going to look him in the eyes. God's going to get down on his level. You know when you talk to a little kid and you get down on their level so you can see them? How many times do you do that to a little kid and then they crouch down too? No, wait, no, stand back up. You do that for a purpose. He gets down in our face, even in today's society. Because this is how good he is. When we're on our phone, he gets down in our face and he's like, hello? Like, are you going to put it down? So I just want to leave you with a question. How often do you let yourself forget to honor the one who called you to the table? How often do you allow you're called to the table. You're there. But if you're not paying attention to him, you are not honoring him. Pastor Jeremiah has been talking about reverencing the ark. We are called to reverence him and to honor him, whether we're over here or we're over here. But when we sit down at the table with him, how often do you find yourself forgetting to honor the one you're sitting with and the one that you're in the midst with? You can be with him and without him at the same time.
Let it be said that a generation finds their voice. I know not everybody stood up in front of a bunch of people and had to speak, But it's one thing for God to lay something on your heart. It's another thing to take the 3 steps to get up here and do it. And this is your 3rd time speaking, right? Like really big, like 3rd time speaking. It's your biggest speaking engagement, I think. But I just sat down and I was taking notes and I was thinking to myself, what if I would have said yes when I was 18? There's something about the yes. So you ain't applauding her. You're just applauding her yes and the Holy Spirit that's in her. Come on, give her a hand. So I'm gonna get you out of here as quick as I can. You can be seated just for give me 2 minutes. If you're giving today.